Hi everybody! Welcome to Momo's channel. No, he's so cute, boy. So I actually just found out about this tag like not too long ago, and I was like, this is a great idea. Why don't I introduce myself in the booktube world and just make connections with you guys and share my opinions on books and stuff. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the booktube newbie tag. So I actually have the questions on my phone, so we're just gonna use my phone for this. The first question asks, why did you start this channel? So the reason why I started this channel is because I've always wanted to find a place where I can talk about books, share my books, share what I read, and just kind of connect with other readers through the different books that I read, through the different opinions that we might have, and have like other booktubers or other people comment and recommend books to me, just like I can do the same for them. Here in my hometown, it's kind of difficult to find people who love and enjoy to read as much as I do. It's a very different culture where I'm from here in Miami. Kind of tough when you want to share your insights or your reactions or your opinions with someone and it's like there's no one. Not that there's no one, but it's very limited to people who actually read here in my city, and it's just nice to kind of expand myself and see who else in the world is interested in reading books and talking about them. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? Guys, this is an interesting question and also a very challenging one. I think the most fun and exciting thing that I could bring to booktube is just the fact that I can read so many different genres and immerse myself in books that are not as popular as like book talk, for example, like nonfiction maybe, or classics, like just kind of challenging myself and challenging what I read, only because I've only stuck to a certain kind of genre growing up, and I've always wanted to know more and read more and just gain that knowledge. I think for me, I consider myself a student of life, meaning that life is always teaching us something if we're open to it. And so for me, I think the most unique thing that I could bring is that perspective. What are you most excited for about this new channel? There's many things that I'm excited about. The first one is definitely making new connections and finding other bookish friends and just kind of talking and building a community within booktube to just kind of share our opinions and our favorite things. The second thing that I'm most looking forward to is actually the amount of books that I will be reading. I've always kind of loved and enjoyed to read, and I feel like now there's a purpose for my enjoyment of reading, and it's definitely because of booktube, and that just makes me excited for what's to come, only because I know I'm going to be reading a lot of books, and not only reading a lot but also exploring a lot and finding different genres or different books and characters and plots that I really enjoy. It's kind of like I'll be finding myself as a reader. Not that I haven't already, because I do kind of have my set genres and like my go-tos basically, but it's gonna be fun and exciting to also exchange opinions with other booktubers, chat about different concepts and plots and like characters, and I don't know, there's just so much in the bookish world that I really enjoy, and there's a couple of booktubers that I've already come across that I really just love their content, and I think I'm just excited for that as well. The third thing I'm excited for is just creating for you guys, and it's creating with a purpose and creating with the intention that what I'm doing matters and that there's a purpose to what I read and what I share, and I'm just really looking forward to that. The next question is, why do you love reading? You guys, if I haven't explained this already with the first 3 questions, then this is the answer that you're looking for. I simply love reading because there is so much effort that goes into writing a book, and trust me, I would know because I am an author myself. I have always loved words since the day I was born. Every night growing up, my mom would read books to me before I went to sleep, and that was kind of where my love for reading and for books and for words really began. It wasn't until later on, when I was in elementary school, that I was already able to kind of like check out and pick books on my own, that I started reading chapter books, and that really surprised me and my teachers as well, because, you know, as a third grader, I mean, you're reading books, but you're not reading chapter books. To me, like words, I've always gravitated towards words. I've always loved books. I've loved immersing myself in the different worlds, connecting with the characters. I think that's such a big thing for me. I think when I don't connect with the characters, I kind of disconnect from the book itself and like from what I'm reading. For me, reading just encompasses so many things. It encompasses my childhood, builds connection. Even if the characters are fictional, even if the world is fictional, I love feeling connected to the world or to the characters in some way. Writing is another big thing. I love to journal. I love to research articles online. I just love knowledge, and I think that's where my curiosity kind of stemmed from, into wanting to read more. Yeah, now I'm here. The next question says, what book or series got you into reading? You guys, I have to be honest with you. I owned the Harry Potter series. My mom bought it for me when I was really young, but I have not read a single word in those books. Don't come for me. I will read them eventually. I will read them eventually, I promise. However, the books and the series that got me into reading officially was actually The Tale of Despereaux, because of Winn-Dixie. And I don't know if you guys knew about these series, but I just adored them. Like growing up, I think I was like in 5th grade, and then all of middle school I read The Babysitter's Club and the Katie Kazoo Switcheroo books. I was obsessed with those books, with the series, with the books. I could not put those books down. I think every single week or like every other week I would check out the Katie Kazoo books and the Babysitter's Club books, and I would just read them until there was no tomorrow, basically. And another series that I actually would love to read, but only in school, like I don't think I actually ever checked these books out, but it was always like whenever I was at the library after school or something like that, I would sit down and actually pick up Goosebumps. That was another series that I really enjoyed as well. Yeah, there's a couple of books and series that got me into reading, but those are like the ones that I vividly remember where it hit me and I was like, wow, like I really like to pick up a book and read. So the next question says, what would you like to ask your favorite booktubers? It's a simple question. It's a simple question, really. How do you do it? But in all seriousness, I think my biggest question would be, how do you stay consistent? And how do you push yourself to create content when you're in a book slump, for example, or when you just feel like you need to take some time off? Or is there really time off that you take being a booktuber? Another question that I would like to ask is also, what was one thing that you did not expect going into booktube and being a booktuber that really caught you off guard? I think that's the biggest thing, because usually, and this is just like my perception of it, but usually when we think of YouTube or booktube, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's just making videos and like uploading them. But I do think that there's so much more that goes into being a creator, and so I really would like to ask each individual booktuber that I will hopefully eventually become friends with, what was the one thing that they didn't expect going into booktube and becoming a creator? So the next question says, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Me personally, I think the biggest challenge might be staying consistent, meaning having like a consistent uploading schedule, or just being consistent on socials like TikTok, social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that we're using nowadays. And the other thing that I think will be the biggest challenge is also trying to figure out new and fresh ways to create content and share the content with you guys. I think that of course there's trends, and usually we like to follow the trends because that's what people are kind of like looking for. However, I do think that there's so much more than just like being trendy, and I think that when you do things your way and not necessarily how everybody else is doing it, it could either help or hinder you. And I'm hoping that it helps in this case, because I don't know if I would say I'm like the trendiest person, and I do try to keep up with the trends, I'm not gonna lie, I do try to keep up. However, I do also like to do my own thing, and I don't know, maybe it works out in my favor, maybe it doesn't, but I think that would be my other biggest challenge, keeping up with the trends. Question number 8 says, when did you start reading? I vividly remember starting to read probably like around the age of like I pick up a book on my own, sit down and read it. I think I would say maybe like 1st or 2nd grade. Up until that point, I was always like, my mom was always reading to me before bed, or like if I was at daycare, for example, like someone would read to me. You know, it was never like me doing the reading until I think I got into elementary, and then there I had more independence and like wanting to pick up a book that I was intrigued by and actually read it. Another thing too is that growing up, my parents would always take us to the library, the public library. We loved it. Like, my brother and I would just enjoy going to the library because it meant that we have like a day to just explore. There was also like a little park right across from the library that we would always like go and play after we had picked out our books and like check them out. I remember like it just felt so nice to come home with like a stack of books that you were just ready to like read. I thoroughly enjoyed going to the public library with my parents and my brother and just scanning the aisles, typing things up on the computer, or like sitting in the kids corner and like picking up a book and just reading to pass the time while like my parents did their own thing, or like my brother was doing like his own thing. I just vividly remember great memories from like going to the library with my family. Honestly, I think that's more or less when I started reading. I would say like 1st, 2nd grade was a pivotal point in my life when I finally would pick up a book on my own and sit down and read it. So the next question is kind of funny. It says, where do you read? You guys, I don't think that there's any place in the world that I might not be able to read. And the reason that I say this, it's because my household is loud. I do have a brother that DJs, so there's constantly music playing at any time of the day. There's just music playing all the time because for some reason he doesn't believe in headphones. Okay? And then my mom, she's always talking on the phone, and then my dad, and it's just like everybody's always doing something, so there's always noise, there's always ruckus, there's always something going on at home. I've honestly learned to tune out the noise and just focus on what I'm doing. And honestly, it's a skill that takes time to acquire. Like, it's not something that happens over time, unless you were just like, you know, just instantly good at just tuning things out. But for me, it took a while. I honestly think that at this point in time, I'm able to read pretty much anywhere because I don't really get car sick. I don't care like if I'm reading like at the beach. So honestly, where do I read? The answer is pretty much everywhere. I can read in my room, on the couch, on the floor, on a table, at a desk, laying down, sitting up, standing up. I can pretty much read everywhere. Question number 10 says, what kind of books do you like to read? Honestly, this question is pretty simple. The genres that I like to read are romance, mystery and thriller, and usually like memoirs and nonfiction. Now, before you come for my neck, I do have to say that I have read outside my comfort zone plenty of times. Those 3 genres are the ones that I mostly gravitate towards. However, I have read fantasy before. I have read classics before in high school. I love to read poetry. There's something about a really good poem that really just like hits. It hits, you know? I think I've read almost everything under the sun, and I don't mean to say this in a way that's like boasting about it. I literally do believe that I've read almost a little bit of everything. Like, I love reading informational textbooks. I love like googling or like researching a specific topic and then finding articles about it. I love it. I don't know why. I've read horror before, but I don't know if I ever liked it. The only genre that I'm kind of worried about reading is like historical fiction. Not literary fiction, because I feel like literary is more like poetic, but historical fiction. Like, I for some reason cannot get with the war stuff. Like, I do not like reading about war. For some reason it doesn't hit like other genres would. Something else that might be hard to get into would be like medical fiction, like about doctors and hospitals and stuff like that, only because of the jargon, like the words that they use and stuff like that. It's just sometimes really heavy, and I'm like trying to calculate or try to understand what's happening, and then I have to like search every other word because I'm like, what are these people talking about? I kind of try to steer away from books that are too technical in that aspect, just because I don't know, it just doesn't intrigue me as much as others. I think I've pretty much read every other kind of genre. I've read Christian books, I've read romance, of course, I've read fantasy, I've read nonfiction, I've read classics, I've read young adult, I've read murder mysteries, I've read thrillers, I've read horror. So manga, I've read manga as well. And honestly, let me tell you guys, I really love manga. There was a point in time, I think it was like 6th through 8th grade, so like all my middle school years, where all I read was manga. Like, you guys, let's be real here for a moment. Like, I really did have that phase. No shame in it. I don't care. I love it. Storylines, the plots, I love like how they draw the little characters. Like, I'm here for it. It's a vibe, honestly. I'm willing to read other things that are outside my comfort zone for the sake of just challenging myself and putting myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, and trying to see like if it's really just like me limiting myself, or if it's actually something that I could enjoy if I just like open up myself to the genre. And the last question says, what does your book collection look like? You guys, I can't show you guys my book collection yet, but hopefully by the time that this video goes up, I will have my book collection set up so you guys can see it. So right now I only have like a little cubby of books, so I don't want to show you like just that cubby. I want to show you guys like how it looks in the final shot. So I'm hoping that by the time this video comes out and I'm done editing it, that I can add that final clip with my book collection, so that you guys are able to really see it and take it in and enjoy it for what it is. Because honestly, like, I don't even know how my book collection is gonna look. So it's really exciting. We're gonna find out together. We're gonna find out together, and that's gonna be fun. You guys, it is now the end of this video. I am thankful if you watched the entire thing, and I'm also thankful that you even clicked on this video to begin with, because although I am new, I am excited to share my perspective on the things that I read and just make new connections, make new friends, and also just continue to grow my love for reading. I didn't think that it was possible to showcase your love for reading, and when I realized that there's such a thing as booktube, I was like, hey, maybe I can give it a shot and see if it works out. Because of that reason, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope that I can make some really cool connections with everyone. I hope that I can build a little community as well, and I'm just looking forward for what's to come. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.